Okay, episode 4 of The Omen. Not The Omen. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and in episode 4 of Good Omens, we find more and more Doctor Who references. Now, they have been all through Good Omens from the first episode where Crowley is identified as a doctor as he's taking the Antichrist to the hospital by Arthur Young. And then when he is contacting Aziraphale from a telephone box, which you don't see much in modern day England. And also various other little things. We found that Arthur Young's car, for instance, had SIDRAT as a license plate, and spelled backwards, that's TARDIS. So they put in a number of things during the show. This particular one, however, we saw some other actors. For instance, first of all, when we had them talking about aliens, what kind of things would they say? And one of them suggests exterminate, of course, a reference to the Daleks. And then we have David Morrissey. And David Morrissey played a person who thought he was the Doctor. He had an actual screwdriver and a balloon that he called the TARDIS. He also had an assistant. And they explained during the course of the program that there was a reason that he was believing that he was the Doctor. And the actual Doctor, who was played by Matt Smith at this time, thought he was close to regeneration and that this person was the next Doctor that he had just met. So it turns out not to be, but that actor plays the captain of the cruise ship in this particular episode. Then also in a very passing point, we have Dan Starkey. Dan Starkey, who played Strax, the Sontaran butler of Madame Vastra. So that was kind of another Doctor Who connection. And finally, the actor that played Metatron, Derek Jacobi, was the professor in an episode in which he is in deep cover as the Master. He doesn't even know himself. His personality has been locked into a stopwatch. And then he's released, he finds out who he is, and he gets into the Doctor's TARDIS and regenerates. At any rate, Derek Jacobi was the professor that was the Master in disguise. So kind of interesting little Doctor Who things. By the way, in knowing what the license plate of Young's car was, we look at the license plate on Crowley's car, and it actually spells curtain backward. For whatever that does, I don't quite get the reference on that. Perhaps you do. Other things that are kind of interesting in this episode, they mention that Crowley invented the selfie, also Welsh language TV, and Manchester. I don't know the inside joke on Manchester, but it sounds funny anyway. Also, at the early part of it, as Crowley and Aziraphale have lost the Antichrist, they picked the wrong child to try to influence for 11 years, and then finally have the wrong one. Crowley starts thinking that it might be time to look for a new planet, and he has pages floating around him, and one of them happens to have Gallifrey as a possible planet to go to, another Doctor Who reference. And an interesting little thing in there that the narrator tells us, the old adage of how many angels can dance on the head of a pin? Well, none, it turns out, because angels don't dance. That's a distinguishing characteristic of angels, is they don't dance. Except Aziraphale, who did learn something called the Gavotte. And sometime back in the 19th century, at some gentleman's club, he got to be pretty good at it, and pretty much perturbed some decades later when the dance went out of style. So little things like that, little Douglas Adams type of references I rather like in that. I hope you did too. We also meet one of the other four horsemen, this time Pollution, because they said that Pestilence had retired. I suppose Pollution was a little easier to describe. So with Pollution, she seems to be very happy along a very junkied up river and amidst all kinds of garbage. Anyway, in the plot, the big thing that happens is that Aziraphale is trying to contact his superiors, and in doing so activates a portal, which he's careful not to step back into, despite the fact that they want him to come back to heaven so that he can be enlisted into the Armageddon army or something like that. And he says, well, I have some things I have to take care of here first. And in contacting Shadwell, who was making most of his income off of Aziraphale as kind of a spy, really. He comes in, sees Aziraphale talking through the portal, decides that he's a witch, and through various maneuverings, accidentally maneuvers Aziraphale into the portal, who then disappears. Then Shadwell thinks that he has, by some superpower, obliterated Aziraphale as a witch, and so later in the episode, comically, points his finger at people that they better watch out. And we hear the term discorporated, which I suppose is a word. I just haven't heard that one before. Thought it was kind of interesting. Those are my observations of episode 4. Episode 5 will be coming out very soon of our review, and episode 6 closely thereafter, because I admit that I binged it myself. So until next time, which won't be long when we'll do the next one of these, we hope that you will make some comments down in the comment section. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And, of course, ring the bell and indicate that you want to be notified when the next video comes your way. We'd appreciate that very much. And until next time, don't go far.